The month of June is Pride Month. It's celebrated annually around the world to honor the Stonewall riots that happened in New York in June 1969. Activists fought for their rights for the LGBT community there. In the world of cycling, which is known as a male-dominated activity, I've seen that there are more people from different genders who are getting into it. Kasama na dyan yung mga members of the LGBT community. Well, in cycling, everyone is welcome, regardless of your gender. And we'll talk more about cycling in the LGBTQIA+ community later. I am Lester Baviera and you're listening to Tambike Session, an anima podcast. For this episode, kasama natin si Thais Estrada, isang trans woman who's an LGBTQIA+ advocate and is also a cycling advocate. Pag-uusapan natin kung ano yung experience niya bilang isang miyembro ng LGBTQ sa mundo ng pamimisikleta. Hi Thais, welcome to Tambike Session.
Hello! Magandang araw, gabi, hapon, umaga, sa lahat na nakikinig ng Tambike Session. Thank you, Lester, for inviting me to be part of your Pride episode.
Of course, alam ko na madami kaming matututunan sa'yo dito sa episode na to.
Been doing this for some time and always happy to educate and be invited to like spaces na hindi naman kami usually na-invite, mga LGBT, mga trans, ganyan. Kung happy ako na may pag-share ng space na ganito.
And I'm really happy that you're here. So, kamusta ka naman? Kakagaling mo lang sa Pampanga this weekend, di ba?
Yes, so it was the Philippine Cycling Festival races. We spent the weekend in Pampanga with, oh my God, sobrang daming friends sa community less. As in like, I wish you were there. Ano ba yan?
Oo nga, busy ako
Busy. But it was such a great time. Yeah, I guess dahil non-competitive cyclists naman karamihan na nasa community natin, no? It was a taste of something new. That's why it became like a lot more exciting for everyone. We saw people na, first time ko nakita silang mag-race, first time na mga kaibigan ko na mag-race, and parang ang saya lang na may bagong ginagawa sa mundo natin na hindi naman competitive cycling ang main na activity, di ba?
Nung nakita ko ngayon, parang nakaka-inspire na gusto kong kumarera someday. Tapos nainggit lang ako, nafo-FOMO lang ako na wala ako doon.
Oo. So, ako din, nag-register talaga ako for that race. Pero dahil hindi ako nakapag-ensayo, hindi ako nakasali. But I was still there. Dinocument ko na lang yung mga gaganapan. Picture-picture na lang ako. Yeah, definitely nakaka-inspire yung mga first-time racers. Gusto ko din na-experience yan.
Parang it's a celebration of cycling that day na kahit hindi ka kumarera, sineselebrate mo yung panalo ng mga kaibigan mo at yung finishes nila.
Totoo. And like just seeing them like achieve something that they've trained really hard for. As in, yun talaga yung parang essence nun eh. Talagang, it's a less competitive, more of a celebratory kind of.
Yes. And speaking of celebration, ngayong buwan nga, sineselebrate natin yung Pride Month. Can you give us a brief background? Bakit ba natin sineselebrate yung Pride Month? And how is this relevant here in the Philippines?
Good question. So, sa intro mo kanina, tama yun, no? Nagsimula talaga ang celebration ng Pride Month dahil sa isang riot, sa isang kaguluhan, no? Kasi may na-attacking safe space para sa LGBT sa isang bar sa US at tinatawag na Stonewall. Ito ay sa part ng history ng LGBT ng mga Amerikano, no? Napakalaking event nito, landmark event siya. Kasi usually, pag ina-atake sila ng mga otoridad na parang, yun nga, mga ganong klaseng thing, mga morality police, hindi lang naiintindihan na yung mga lugar na yun safe spaces para sa mga LGBT, sa mga queer. Nung panahon lang sila na yun na physical din lumaban. So, parang nagkaroon ng malaking awareness sa pag-defend ng mga LGBT na Amerikano nung time na yun, dun sa Stonewall. At naging mas bukas, naging mas mulat yung mga tao sa mga issues ng LGBT individuals. Ang anniversary nun ay towards the end of June, kaya natin sineselebrate ang June as Pride Month. landmark event siya kasi parang dati kasi ang pagiging LGBT at ang pagiging queer ay pinipilit na maging kahiya-hiya. It's something that's supposed to be shameful, something that's not supposed to be celebrated, something that's supposed to be to stay hidden at walang welcoming spaces ang mga tao no para sa LGBT. So kaya pinush yung ganitong klaseng mga selebrasyon, ganitong klaseng mga pagtitipon, parada, festival, to commemorate yung mga ginawa ng mga nauna nating mga aktivista, advocates na LGBT. So, ako I guess, more than a celebration kasi yung tawag sa kanila kasi they've made landmark strides in terms of protecting the LGBT population kasi nagkaroon na sila ng marriage equality law, may mga anti-discrimination state laws that protect them from discrimination, and then yun kaya sila siya celebration. Pero sa atin kasi, dahil wala pa tayo nun, ang talagang pinaka-simula at pinaka-essence ng Pride sa Pilipinas ay isang protesta. So, kaunting history lang din, no? Nagsimula ang Pride movement sa Pilipinas, copying yung Pride movement sa States, recorded noong 1992, na sumali ang isang lesbian organization sa isang women's rights march noong 1992, no? So, yun yung unang recorded na may queer group na sumali sa isang parada, sa isang protesta para very proudly say that gay rights are human rights.
Mhm.
Kasunod na ng 1996, maraming pagtitipon after that. But noong 1996, nagsimula ang pinakaunang branded na Manila Pride na event na binubuo siya ng maraming LGBT organizations nung time na yun, nung 90s. Almost 30 years, grabe, sobrang tagal. Matagal na. Tapos, unti-unti, nagkakaroon ng political movements na suportado ang LGBT at doon naging mas political ang angulo, ang tema ng mga Pride marches. Kaya nga namin laging sinasabi sa mga involved sa Pride movement sa Pilipinas, talagang protesta muna ito bago selebrasyon. Kasi wala pa naman tayong naabot in terms of national legislation that protects the LGBT, no? Or even an acknowledgement that LGBT rights are human rights in the Philippines. Maraming gumagawa para sa atin, pero yung encoded talaga sa batas, ang hirap ipasa.
Wala pa.
Wala pa. So, kaya medyo matagal. Kaya ginagawa natin to so that we seek awareness, we seek understanding, we seek that more people become more, not just tolerant, but accepting of LGBTQIA+ individuals in the Philippines.
Ikaw, Miss Thais, matagal ka ng aktivista or matagal ka ng advocate ng LGBTQIA+.
Siguro, nag-start siya. Dati talaga, Les, wala akong awareness, no? Na may ganito palang klaseng pwedeng movement sa Pilipinas. Again, taga-probinsya ako, nung buong kabataan ko, paglaki ko nasa probinsya. Pero innate naman sa akin yung realization na ang pagiging queer ko, pagiging LGBT, parte ng LGBT, ay in itself, alam mo yun, pakikipaglaban na siya. Bata pa lang ako kasi
palaban ka na, bata pa lang.
Palaban na, pero alam mo yun, parang mas more of ang understanding is discriminated against talaga ang LGBT. Kahit pa paanong may mga sineselebrate na LGBT sa komunidad, pero nandun ang diskriminasyon.
Sa Bukidnon?
Oo, sa Bukidnon. Oh. Nakakalungkot kasi, like, again, tolerated lang. Pero if it comes to a point na, alam mo yun, kailangan ng talagang to set your foot down na parang, this is my identity and I wanna fight for it, biglang wala ka ng mga kakampi. Parang ganon. So, when I went to college in Manila, sabi ko, parang, I want to learn more and explore my own identity. And then, doon ko na-realize na, hindi pala ako effeminate lang na gay. Ako pala ay, may pangalan pala dun sa nararamdaman ko. So, yun yung pagiging transgender. Kasabay nun yung realization na, kailangan kong, alam mo yun, mag-transition and the whole works, no? Around that same time din, in 2014, nagkaroon ng Jennifer Laude case. Naalala mo ba yun?
Yeah, with an American soldier.
Yeah, so si Jennifer Laude ay isang transgender woman. Noong 2014 or October, no, siya ay pinatay ng isang Lance Corporal ng United States Marine Corps. Pangalan niya yung si Joseph Scott Pemberton. Yun yung turning point sa pagiging advocate ko. Kasi na-shock ako sa usuan din yun ng social media. Alam mo yun, online na lahat ng tao. Like, daming chika. Around the same time, nagkaroon din ng parang understanding ng trans identity sa states. So, around the same time, nag-publish ang Time Magazine ng The Transgender Tipping Point. In-explain niya na bakit maraming gustong umintindi ng pagiging transgender sa Pilipinas, ay sa United States. Pero tayo, medyo trahedya yung sa atin, no? After, yung sobrang active ako, parang awakening ko talaga siya. Sabi ko noong 2014, parang I'm supposed to do something more for the community kasi yung transition ko, while hindi siya madali for me personally, like yung internal struggles and mental struggles, emotional struggles, but the people around me are so supportive. Hindi yun nangyari para kay Jen. Instead, yung freedom niya ng pagiging transgender bilang babae, ikinamatay pa niya. So sabi ko, hindi to maganda. Hindi equal ang experience ni Jen sa experience ko, na kung saan sa mga circle ko, ako ay celebrated, no?
Supported.
At iniintindi, kahit pa paano. May mga experience ng discrimination, pero hindi naman umabot sa level ng violence o patayan. So sabi ko, I need to do more for the trans community in that sense.
Naka-empathize ka.
Empathize.
Yeah, empathize ka. And I'm sure na parang hindi lang si Jennifer Laude yun, di ba? Marami pang other trans women.
Of course. And even other queer people, part of the LGBT. Kasi yun nga, parang, ang defense kasi ng Pemberton is, pinatay niya si Jen kasi hindi daw, nag-panic daw siya nung nalaman yung trans. Parang, is that enough reason to kill somebody? It's really rooted on hate, diba? So, yun yung, tapos lalo na nung dahil mauso nga yung social media at internet, nakita ko dun na yung reaction ng mga tao, parang, ay, okay lang naman patayin yan kasi, baka prosti, baka, sex worker, baka, tsaka makasalanan ng mga trans, ano ba yan? Ano yan, against yan sa teaching ng Bible, etc. Ang dami ng moral police, no? So naisip ko, and these are coming from people that I know. So baka naisip ko, oh my gosh, baka pag ako ang namatay or ako ang nagka-experience ng violence, ito din yung sasabihin nila.
Yeah.
Sisihin pa ako sa identity ko kung bakit ako naging biktima, di ba? So ayoko nun. At ayoko mangyari yun sa mga susunod na henerasyon. So it spurred me into advocacy. Yun yung start talaga. Siya yung medyo landmark yung moment na yun.
Just a quick education ng LGBTQIA+, di ba madami yan plus. Can you tell us more? Ano ba yung LGBTQIA+, especially to our listeners and to me na hindi ganong familiar with this letters and with this, identities. So, lesbian, gay.
So, ang LGBTQIA+, it's a group of acronym siya, no? Pinagsama-samang mga letra. So that it's easier to define or like parang call a group which has the same experience in terms of sexuality and identity. So, ang ibig sabihin lang nito ay hindi sila straight. Straightness or pagiging cisgender straight, ito yung normal, hindi nga normal nakaka-weird out pa rin yung sabihin na parang yun pa rin yung basis ng mga tao. Kasi dahil lang mas marami, di ba?
Traditional, maybe.
Traditional or like parang dahil siya ang majority ng sexual experience at identity experience ng mga tao, no? Yung straightness at cis. Anything that's beyond that is part of the LGBTQIA+ na umbrella. So L stands for lesbian, G stands for gay, B stands for bisexual, T stands for transgender. Hindi transsexual Matagal nang hindi naman katanggap-tanggap. Hindi na lang namin siya ginagamit para sa mga sarili natin. Yung katagang transsexual, transgender. Q is for queer. That encompasses everything that's in between these identities. Or yung mga hindi pa nakakapag-settle ng identity nila. That's perfectly fine. I is for intersex, which is also a gender, it's more of an anatomical experience. Yung biological sex nila may kakaiba sa nakararami. A naman is asexual. It's a type of sexuality na hindi sila necessarily nakakaramdam ng sexual or romantic attraction para sa ibang tao. Ang plus naman, it refers to every other identity or gender na hindi pa natin na na-explore, di pa natin nagkakaroon, even nabibigyan ng pangalan. So, bakit marami? Maraming tatanong, guys, bakit ang dami-dami yung LGBTQIA+ na yan? Baka maging, some people mock it, sasabihin nila, LGBTQIA+, B, C, D, E, F, G hanggang Z daw. Sabi ko, parang, okay, so unang-una, ginagawa kasi yan to acknowledge yung existence ng ganong klaseng identities. Dati LGBT lang naman talaga eh. But we found it lacking. Hindi siya representative ng experience ng queer community. No? That's why ina-acknowledge yung the rest of the letters. When you say it, you are also acknowledging the existence of these identities. So it's more of it's a fact. They earned their place in that string of letters. Kasi noon wala namang may alam kung ano ang asexual.
Parang may feeling na andyan ka, kasama ka namin.
Correct. So you're parang inclusive, no? Tinatry ng komunidad na maging mas inclusive as possible. Isa pang acronym siguro for i-discuss, yung SOGI. Kasi lalabas siya sa usapin natin, gano'n.
Ano ang SOGI?
Ano ang SOGI? Ano naman ang SOGI? Sa mga nakakarinig, nga naman, baka naman first time yung makarinig kung ano ang SOGI. So, sa space ng mga bikers, ito na siya. SOGI ay isang acronym again. It's used to refer to people's sexual, romantic, and gender experiences. So SOGI, S-O means sexual orientation. G-I means gender identity. And then the E, yung nasa dulo, ay gender expression. Ayun. So, in-extend ang SOGI. Naging in-extend na nga siya. SOGI, SC na siya. Sa mga formal na mga discussions. SC naman ay sex characteristics. Ito naman ay ang nagre-refer naman siya sa mga anatomical body parts para lang mahiwalay yung experience ng tao ng kanilang identity at kanilang sexual attraction sa kung ano yung meron sila in between their legs. So it's categorizing things in terms of what am I feeling sexually? What am I feeling romantically? Who am I? What am I feeling yung identity ko? How do I present this identity and this sexuality? And also, how does this all tie up or not tie up to what's between my legs? It starts the discussion on the diversity of sex and gender in humans. And ito yung isang clincher ng SOGI, lalo-lalo na pag mga bago pa lang nakakaalam ng SOGI. No? These things are independent of each other.
Just like me, yan. Thank you, Mas.
Yeah.
Hindi ko alam to ha. As in, ngayon ko lang to nalalaman as you explain it to us. And I guess marami din sa listeners natin na hindi rin sila aware about this kinds of identities and sexuality. Let's now go to your another identity yan. Di ba? Kilala ka ngayon bilang isang siklista, bilang isang biker. Gusto kong malaman, kailan ba nagsimula to? Kailan ka ng bisikleta? What are you doing as a cyclist? Like you said, di ba, hindi ka competitive racer. Pero kwento mo naman sa amin, paano mag-bike ang isang Thais Estrada?
Ang gandang tanong. So, very proud. Parang pandemic biker ako. Or at least, na-rediscover ang love ng biking during the pandemic because it came out of a need. So dati, I was already biking for fun because my brother, when we were, starting our professional lives after college, parang bumili siya ng bike, bumili siya ng fixie, tapos yun yung ginagamit namin to go around the village, sa UP.
Relax na biking lang.
Relax lang. Sobrang relax lang, like Sunday rides, ganon. But hanggang dun lang yung parang namin, parang my brother had a group before, so yung mga around 2012 to, sobrang tagal na. And then it just stopped, binenta niya kasi yung bike niya, and then he eventually moved out of the country. So wala na rin akong, hindi ako nagka-amor ng gamitin ng bike. And I also found it an activity that's, a sporty activity. Hindi siya like commuting thing or whatever. It's more of a sporty thing for me. Yun yung na-imagine ko. But in the pandemic, naging mas, it was out of a need. Kasi sobrang bored na ako sa bahay. And then when they announced na pwede nang lumabas, there wasn't any way to to ride. Kailangan mong either makisakay sa kotse ng kaibigan mo.
Yeah, because walang public transport.
Walang public transport, walang yung Grab nakakatakot pa, ng taxi nakakatakot, di mo alam, di ba? Wala pa tayong masyado alam. So sabi ko, well, I know how to bike. And people are suddenly allowed to bike around. Parang gusto ko rin yun. I want to go and be able to travel, kahit kaunti outside my house. There weren't any cars around. So, it was relatively safe. May ganong klaseng parang, if you don't do it now, ngayon na hindi nakakatakot, gawin mo na, di ba? So, I bought my first bike. It was a roadie, a local na roadie na bike. And started biking from my place sa may area ng BGC up to Guadalupe. Sobrang proud na ako nun na parang umaabot ako ng Guadalupe. As in like, hingal na hingal, pero sobrang saya na nakakita ako ng Pasig River, ganyan.
Mga after 2 kilometers, you're so proud of yourself.
Oo, grabe. Ibang level ng pride. Like parang, wow, parang grabe na kaya ko yun. And like, wow, ang feeling ko talaga ng long ride na siya. Tapos lalo na nung nakatawid ako ng Makati, as in parang, oh my gosh, nakatawid ako ng Makati with just a bike.
Parang nakapunta ka sa ibang mundo no? From one city to another.
Correct. And using only 2 wheels and my own leg power. Parang grabe yung na-feel ko na freedom as in ibang level. So, ayun, parang it was more of a need kasi gusto ko na din to be able to travel whenever I want to, and for other needs. After that, siguro, well, nasemplang kasi ako kasi
aray,
hindi ko naman alam. Wala akong alam sa pag-handle ng bikes at all at that time. I didn't even know that hindi talaga recommended ang roadie sa mga daan ng Maynila.
Sa lubak ng Metro Maynila.
Oo, grabe. Kasi alam mo, ang Maynila ay isang matinding gravel race. Totoo lang.
Totoo yan. Ang Maynila ay isang matinding lubak.
Lubak, oo, di ba? Lubak sa maraming paraan. Pero yun nga, so lang ako one rainy day. I felt really scared because medyo masama yung semplang ko nun. And then ang alam ko was may kasunod sa akin na parang sasakyan. I thought it's gonna run me over. So,
buti hindi ka nasagasaan.
Buti nga. So, kasi nakahiga na ako sa road and it was all wet and it was nighttime. Tapos,
ang lala nun, grabe.
Ang lala, sobrang takot ako. I did not bike for 5 months. And doon nagkakilala tayo ulit, or like nagkita tayo ulit after a long time sa isa sa mga pop-up sa daily sa Cubao. Nung nakikita mo ako, hindi pa ako nag-bike nun. As in, pupunta lang ako dahil
naalala ko.
Nagtataxi ako. Hinatid niyo ba ako? Oo. Pero, sa loob-loob ko nun, sobrang inggit ako sa inyo. As in. Inggit na inggit ako na yung mga bikers, sila yung mga unang sumuporta din sa coffee shop na mga kaibigan na. So, sabi ko, there will come a point na babalik din ako sa pagbibisikleta. It will give me a chance to go around Manila again, knowing that I will now have friends who do. Hindi na lang ako mag-isa. And that's what happened. Naswerte akong nabigyan ng folding bike kasi naawa sa akin yung kaibigan kong may-ari ng bike shop. Sabi niya parang bumalik ka na sa pagbabike, parang try to recover from the trauma, but don't use a big bike yet. Ito, try mo tong folding.
Binigyan ng Brompton.
Binigyan ako ng Brompton. Puting Brompton, and I was so happy. Ginawa ko siyang pang-ikot-ikot sa BGC, ginawa ko siyang pang-ikot-ikot sa Makati. I learned multimodal transport.
And eventually, inaakit mo sa Marikina, di ba? Umaabot ka pa ng mas malalayong lugar.
Umaabot ako ng mas malalayong lugar. Like, talagang sobrang gamit ko talaga. But then I also realized na gusto ko din ng full-frame bike. So, ayun, nakabili ako ng full-frame bike na single speed. Used it for the next 8 months after that. And that was it. That was the start. I got to find comfort in the camaraderie in strangers who became friends. In the bike community, we hung out in the same places and created a group for ourselves. Created a community in one of the hangout places in BGC, and got to know people like you and people like the merchants, the businesses that are supportive of bikes. And ayun, sobrang happy ko na experience ko.
So from single speed, nagtuloy-tuloy ka na sa pagbabike. And from random 2 kilometers going to Guadalupe, pagtawid ng Makati, from Taguig, saan ka napunta?
So, ang mga lagi talagang ruta is just around BGC, Mandaluyong, Makati. Pero sobrang naging interested ako sa mga intercity na medyo malayo-layo. So like UC Marikina usually, And then, syempre, magbubudol ka na ng mga laging nag-invite ng mga ahon-ahon papunta ng Rizal area, ganyan. And then,
Napadpad ka na sa Bulacan.
napadpad na ako sa mga ganun. Tapos, the longest ride sa event mo, yung Philippine Arena, isang beses, 100 plus km spin, 100 something. And then, Nuvali, ilang beses na din. Sa South naman yun na side. Super fun. Like, most of the rides that I do are intercity. Or yung mga may challenge, yung mga ahon challenge. Well, ang mas usual ko pa rin na bike rides are still within the city. And your commutes, and it really replaced like the way I travel around the city.
And during these trips, have you experienced anything na different? What I mean to say is, how is it to bike as a trans woman? Kasi, di ba, like what I said earlier, cycling is male-dominated and usually yung mga ibang genders, like yung women, meron silang sarili-sariling experiences. Ikaw, Miss Thais, as a trans woman, meron bang unique experience cycling, whether it's positive or negative?
Well, ang pinaka na experience ko talaga, it's more of a positive kind of thing in terms of in the community. Kasi, at least in the immediate community, no? Kasi, nagkaka-chance ka magpakilala sa mga bike hangouts, ganyan, or kung saan kayo nagpupunta, like mga businesses. And usually naman, there are people there na kilala mo na for a long time. Like, even an acquaintance. So, very welcoming yun naman yung na-feel ko, at least sa immediate community. For sure, hindi maiwasan yung may mga catcalling, yun talaga yung medyo nakakatakot. Like, that's why I don't usually ride alone. Kasi, at least may isang kasama. Yun talaga ako, at least. Natakot talaga ako na heckle on the road or makatcall. Kasi na-experience ko na siya before. At it's talaga yung weird. Kasi usually talaga yung outfit ko pag bike, super short, dry fit. But laging short shorts. Pero una pa ako nakatcall nung nag-bike ako na naka-jeans. Sobrang weird, man. Kasi next talaga, dito pa ako, like, inatake.
Hinaras.
May ganon. Hinaras. Like, it was in an intersection. Tapos, parang sinundan ako ng isang mama na nag-bike. Hindi talaga niya ako tinantanan. So, tapos, yung pilit niya ako kausapin. Tapos, hindi na ako nakikinig, dire-diretso na ako. Kasi, di ba, usually pag ganun, kasi yung usual good morning.
Yeah.
Okay, di ba? Ganun, di ba? Gusto niya, parang ang dami niya, parang saan ka pupunta? Pwede ba sumabay?
Creepy questions.
So, yun nga ang katakot. Pero I think that happens to like, a majority of, sadly, like a majority of women na experience na ganun, at least once or more sa biking experience nila. But that's more on like these guys who can't just stop, feeling like they can intrude into your life or your space. So medyo ganun. But in the like sa iba namang side, usually, I mean definitely sa community, wala namang disrespect, wala namang discrimination. Ang marami is amazement na somebody like a trans woman would get into biking and confidently at that. Alam mo yun, like parang hindi sa maka-expect. Usually kasi ang tingin sa amin mga mahihinhin, they could never get into sports or like physical activity. Kasi marami sa mga trans women ang issues talaga is, ay malolosyang ako dyan.
Ganun. Meron kayong internally ganung usapan.
May internally na, ay, ano ba nakakalosyang yun? Parang hindi nakakaganda. Parang pawisin ka. Tapos, alam mo yun, parang hindi siya nakaka-pretty. Parang ganun yung tingin ng maraming trans women sa pagbabike. So, that's why very, very few trans women are on the road. Kasi may ganun siyang aesthetic na issue. Tapos ako yung sabi niya, okay, hindi mo na ako kagandahan, guys, in the first place. Charot. Siyempre maganda ako. Pero alam mo yun, parang...
Confidence. Iba talaga yung confidence.
Confidence. Iba talaga. Hindi, parang sinasabi ko sa nila, it doesn't matter. Kasi when you bike, lahat naman kayo mukhang pawis na pawis eh. Sobrang konti lang naman ng taong sobrang fresh pag nag-bike eh, di ba? Yeah. And because the community understands na ganun, talaga yung itsura ng pag-bike, no one cares.
Well, isang example ng fresh na fresh kahit na umaahon is also part of the LGBT community, si Levi and Sarah, na parang hindi hinuhulas sa haba ng pagbabike nila. Ang gaganda pa din nilang dalawa.
Shout out sa dalawang friends natin. Lily and Sarah. Kasi, oo nga, no, ganun ka fresh. I mean, we wish to be that fresh. Pero, ang reality is, hindi talaga siya nakaka-fresh as well. But no, the thing is, if any trans women are listening to this podcast, yun yung message ko sa inyo, ay, mag-bike na kayo. Like, nasa confidence lang yan. Kung maganda ka, maganda ka. Basta mag-ano ka lang, upabango ka, char.
And generally, no, you were saying na the community, at least the community that you are surrounded with, are very accommodating, very friendly to trans women like you. So how does it feel? And especially your group, no? Your group Meet and Ride, very supportive sila sa mga endeavors mo, and basically they're very supportive sa'yo bilang isang Thais Estrada. Can you tell us more na gaano ka kaswerte na you belong to this community?
Ako, I really am happy, like, being part of the community that, you know, hindi naman ako tinaboy, hindi ako tinreat as weird. Alam mo yun, parang it really welcomed me. At it siguro nagkaroon kasi ng point na may appreciation na ng diversity, even sa biking and like personalities. For example, if the people who are in the bike community didn't also realize that they should be accepting and inclusive of like, kahit anong klaseng bike pa yan, it's still a bike, you know, and you wanna hang out and you wanna go be part of a community, it doesn't matter. You all have the same experience cycling in Manila, which is generally bad but fun. Challenging, hazardous but fun.
And possible.
And possible. Correct. So, I mean, that shared experience makes it makes the activity more inclusive. Kahit roadie ka pa, kahit foldy ang gagamit mo, minivelo, single speed, fixie, mountain bike, gravel, mahal, mura, classic, Japanese or whatever. Sobrang ganun din naman ang pinaka-core ng LGBT advocacy. That the reason why we want to be acknowledged, the reason why we're here, the reason why we're screaming our lungs out, saying pride and, you know, explaining to people who we are, kasi we're fighting for that chance to be, for a society na maging mas more inclusive. So, swerte ako na umabot sa point na yung time na nagkakaroon ng communities around biking, bagong communities around biking. Marami naman communities before, di ba? But people have experienced exclusion sa mga ganong klaseng communities before kasi nga, they keep to themselves. The roadies keep to themselves, the fixies keep to themselves, di ba? Wala pang ganong klaseng like intersection ng mga interest sa biking. No? So, ngayon na nagiging mas inclusive na sila ng sense, I think they're also more inclusive in terms of personality. So, if you are a person who's queer and who bikes, it doesn't matter that you're queer. It just matters that you bike, di ba? Because the community thinks na, in a sense na, may alam na siya about inclusivity, di ba? Just be a good person, just be a person who's fun to be with and who understands that the objective of all this is just, you know, really having fun and making it safe for everyone. I guess there's no, hindi mahirap para sa isang queer individual na makahalubilo at makausap and be treated respectfully in the bike community.
Yeah. There's this thing called belongingness, di ba? And for example, you're part of the LGBTQIA+ community. And mafe-feel mo na, oh my God, this is a group na male-dominated or straight people. How would you encourage these people who are members of your other community na, but you can go and it's, you know, they're very friendly, they're inclusive, or ikaw mismo, did you have fears during that time na, baka wala akong maging friend kasi walang trans woman na nagbabike?
Actually, yung fear ko nga is if women will accept me in their community. Kasi some women don't, you know, consider trans women as women. May ganong klaseng transphobia ang mga women's communities, so unfortunately. Pero, ang inangkor ko kasi nun is, ang dami ko nang kakilala ng nagbabike. So, doon ako didikit sa kanila kasi kilala ko naman na sila eh. At I'm sure they're gonna be happy because somebody like me na started biking, parang alam mo yun, parang nadagdagan pa yung mga kakilala nila magbabike. Mas marami silang mabubudol. Yun lang naman talaga yun eh. Parang, there will be more people to ask, to join you in rides na papuntang Antipolo or papuntang Rizal or papuntang mga long rides sa South or sa North. It's just that. So, parang doon na muna ako nagsimula. Alam mo yun? Hinayaan kong makilala ako dun sa community because people already know me. Like, can tell them na parang, okay, this is how she's trans. But she's not to be treated any differently. She can bike her way up mountains. I mean, alam na yun sa mga bike. Alam mo yun? Like, makakausap mo na yan about, like, seriously about bike stuff. So, yun. So, I guess that's that. Siguro yun yung kwento ko about yung fear ko kaya sa mga sa women's communities. Kasi may solid na women community yung female biker communities online. Ganun. But they were very, very accepting. I'm a member of the Pinay biker community online group. And when I post there, walang kahit na anong nakikita ko na discrimination as a trans biker. It's very welcoming. It's a safe space.
And I'm pretty sure na you meet a lot of people and they're also curious and you try to educate them about who you are and who your community is to them at mas naiintindihan pa lalo ng mga tao kung ano yung LGBTQIA plus community, di ba?
Correct. I try to get all chances to be able to explain that. So, like for example, somebody asks, somebody wants to clarify certain things. I'm a listening ear, alam mo yun, and I can explain it to them confidently what they should know about LGBTQIA+, and SOGI, etc. Yeah, so I hope with the people I got to talk to about it and those who asked got to learn more about themselves, more about the people they know, and how to be a respectful ally to the LGBTQIA+.
Earlier, you've mentioned about stories about discrimination, harassment, and yun nga, recently, di ba, sumali ka sa isang karera. And unfortunately, merong isang popular incident in the United Kingdom na kung saan yung isang trans woman na cyclist was disallowed and was banned to compete in a women's event. So, it's very controversial. Hindi siya pinayagang kumarera dahil nga isa siyang trans woman doon sa category na pang women. So, ikaw, what are your thoughts about this? Trans women being barred from competitive cycling. They should be allowed to compete, right? And there are many other cases that cycling competition na it's being allowed. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, so thank you so much for bringing that up actually kasi that was kind of my fear when I tried to join. Well, I did join, but hindi lang ako tumuloy sa race. No? I signed up for the race sa the Philippine Cycling Festival. And I disclosed that I was transgender. Parang sabi ko, I'm registering for this age group under female. I'm a trans woman. I've been living as a trans woman for the last almost a decade. Actually, more than a decade. They didn't mind. Wala silang, this is more of a Philippine Cycling Fest. Hindi naman siya pro festival, pro race na like you could earn like parang UCI level. You could earn like points and then you could go up to and like you could compete abroad. So parang okay lang sa kanila. Like, it's okay for all. Gender is not even an issue. But what I'm sad is, yun nga, ang governing body ng cycling, competitive cycling sa mundo, hindi nila na-suspend nila si Emily Bridges, siyang transgender na cyclist sa UK. I think what happened was, na-technical siya. So, from what I know about this case, na-technical siya. Kasi they wanted, she is still registered as a male sa UCI records niya. And when you transition, there is a period na you cannot race.
What does it mean when you say transition?
Like for example, born male ka, di ba? And then you affirmed your gender with yourself na, babae ako. So I'm trans. Ibig sabihin yung identity ko is trans. You transition, it's either a social transition, ibig sabihin, yung Mag-start ka magdamit babae kung yun yung gender expression mo, maging mas feminized yung mga features mo. And then medical transition is when you take hormones so that it changes your hormonal makeup. And ultimately, kung gusto mo magpa-surgery, there's a gender-affirming surgery, which is yung alam natin na ang common parlance sa Philippines, sex change. But it's now called gender-affirming surgery. So, pag nagta-transition ka kasi, sabi din sa rules ng UCI, kailangan mo ng certain period na hindi ka magko-compete. So, yun yung nangyari kay Emily. Though, ako, personally, hindi dapat kasi siya requirement, di ba? Hindi naman kasi lahat may opportunity mag-transition or mag-transition agad. Pero she's still a cyclist. And, di ba, walang undue advantage. Ito yung lagi kong sinasabi sa mga laging nagsasabi na hindi kasi tayo, sports kasi yan eh. Di ba? Unfair, quote-unquote, unfair para sa mga babae, sa mga quote-unquote, tunay na babae na may makasali dyan na transwoman. Kasi lalaki pa rin
lalaki
yan.
Pa din daw sila, quote-unquote.
Correct, quote-unquote. So you realize na, okay, listening to these people talk and talk passionately about women's sports when before they couldn't even care about women's sports, biglang pag may pinasok ang transgender dyan na usapin, biglang may pake na kayo parang gano'n, di ba? But you can't even lift a finger for women's sports, no? You can't be the moral police, no? So, una yung surprise. Pangalawa, it really boils down to transphobia. It's an undue kind of hatred to trans women and a complete misunderstanding of what it means to be trans. Ang trans guys, hindi yan magically nangyayari. Hindi yan like overnight decision ng isang tao na maging trans. At wala pang ni isang recorded na event or like pagkakataon na isang lalaki ay nag-transition para lang manalo.
Para mandaya daw. Yeah.
Para mandaya. Parang, I think men who are in toxic masculine, have toxic masculinity, will not even think of undergoing the transition process. And even if they do, like pilitin nilang mandaya, I don't think kakayanin nila. Do you know the emotional and mental toll of transitioning? It's very hard. We go through certain changes that sometimes hindi na sa survive ng mga kapatid kong transgender. Taking hormones that change your, the way you think, the way you act, the way you respond to stimuli are sometimes fatal. Because sometimes they don't recover from the mental health issues that arise from transitioning. And they, unfortunately, some commit suicide and kasi hindi na kinakaya di ba? So they're victims of that parang pressure na mag-transition medically. And dapat hindi naman required. Also, may iba din na hindi naman kaya to kasi mahal mag-transition. So ang challenge ko dyan laging tinatanong, gagawin ba yan lahat ng isang lalaki para lang maging gold medalist sa isang sport?
And I've read something about unfair advantage. Like for example, di ba sinasabi nga nila, unfair advantage daw that, mas malakas daw physically talaga yung male than women. But at the same time, like let's look at basketball. Example, Europeans are competing against Asians. Isn't it unfair advantage na din yun Like yung height difference nila in a sport like basketball. So dapat ba i-ban din na dapat hindi nakikipaglaban yung mga Asians into Europeans kasi they're technically have the unfair advantage of height in a sports na kailangan mong mag-reach ng hoops, di ba?
Correct. So, tamang perspective yan, Les. What are we trying to ban here? What are we trying to restrict, di ba? It's obvious that we're restricting because of our misunderstanding, because of our hatred, because of our, unwillingness to understand.
Ito, Thais, madaming nagtatanong nito. So, if trans women really want to compete into sports like cycling, why don't they just, compete in the men's division? Why would they still insist in competing in the women's division or category? What can you say about it?
Ito na lang Sports, when it's categorized also is actually weird. Yung between gender lines. Sa totoo lang, if it were a perfect world or like in a world that didn't care about gender and only really cared about, like for example, if it's sport, cared about like the competitive side of it, hindi na kailangan magkaroon ng women's or men's division. Sa totoo lang, di ba? there's a philosophy na nabasa ko recently about that na parang dapat totoo lang hindi naman na dapat nag-exist yan. Pero since tayo yung una sa mundo na nag-exist yon na may delineations ang male and female, hindi ba dapat na kung unlimited ang understanding na dapat natin yung gender is it's an identity, diba? So, kung nagde-designate ka na may male and female divisions ang sports mo, anyone who experiences femaleness, anyone who identifies as female, must then be part of the female division. Yun yung point. Naghiwalay ka na ng sports by gender. In the way that you like measure people against the farthest, the strongest, the fastest they can be is because of gender. Bakit mo pipigilan yung tao na ganun yung identity? Di ba, na sumalit? Bakit mo siya ipagpipilitan dun sa hindi niya identity? Yun lang pala basis. Di ba? So, sasabihin ko talaga sa kanila na parang, kung ganun ang point, tanggalin na natin yung gender division ng sport. Para, na talaga, magkakitaan na. Diba? Magkakitaan na. So, and then when you say na parang, hindi, so ibig sabihin, sumusuko ka, lalaki talaga yung panalo, lalaki talaga yung, you never know. You never know. Hindi, remember, nakipaglaro si Serena Williams sa ilang mga lalaki sa tennis, and many times natalo niya ang mga lalaki in a one-on-one tennis, competition. And no man accepts any challenge from Serena Williams after that. Nakilala natin si Nesty Petesio na naging second silver medalist sa Olympics ng kamakailan. She started her career as a female boxer who boxed with men. Sa start niya ng karera niya as an amateur boxer. Kasi wala siyang nahanap na kalaban na babae. But she wins even if her competitors are men. So imagine that. So we've just never tried it. And mixed gender sports events have occurred in the Olympics recently to better results than, simply male and simply female events. So wala talaga. Ako, for me, kung it's really pointed and rooted in that kind of misunderstanding, refusal to understand, flat out hatred. Bakit may ganito tayong discrimination sa mga transgender women in sports? I'm gonna tell you now, the world will only, move forward in terms of our understanding of what it means to be a really competitive human in terms of sports. Kung pwede na tayong tumawid sa idea na, ay, ito pang babae lang, ay, ito pang.
What I realized after all the things that you said is that being visible as a member of the LGBTQIA+ community in this society is really important kasi you get to forward your causes, you get to say the things that are needed to be said, and you get to change things that are problematic. So, before we end this podcast, guys, what do you want to say to the other members of the LGBTQIA+ community, particularly siguro yung mga trans women na kagaya mo who would really want to go out and bike na siguro natatakot sila lumabas dahil nga, well, aside from issues that you mentioned a while ago na baka haggard, baka nakakahulas, pero takot pa din na baka maharas sila on the road, wala silang mga kasama, ma-discriminate sila ng communities, diba? What can you say to them?
Well, ang unang-una ko talagang gustong i-encourage sa kanila beyond the superficial reasons kung bakit ayaw mo mag-bike, the benefits are immense. It helps with, being free from the constraints of a very hard commute, and dependence on vehicles that are powered by fossil fuels. Kung may concern ka sa environment, makapaisip ka talaga na, it's something that I should, this is a little help. And hindi na magkotse, magbike. Ayun nga, I guess the responsibility falls a little bit on us na nandun na sa daan to make it the roads, to advocate for safer roads so that more people are encouraged na magbike. Nakwento ko nga to sa isa kong tweet recently na may pinarking ko yung bike ko sa isang 7-Eleven sa malapit sa amin. Bibili ako ng tubig. Tapos, nung nag-parking ako, tinignan ako ng isang batang babae. Tapos sabi niya sa akin, tinignan niya ako head to foot. Tapos sabi ko, tinignan ko din siya. Tapos sabi niya, ate, transgender ka po? Nagulat ako kasi parang 7, 8 years old lang yung bata. Pero alam niya yung word na transgender. Tapos sinabi ko, yes, opo, transgender po. Saan mo nalaman yung word na transgender? Tapos sabi niya, ay, nanonood po ako ng mga video ni Vice Ganda sa YouTube. So, doon na, dahil napanood niya na nagagamit yung word na transgender to refer to women like me, nagamit niya in daily conversation. At very respectfully niya tinanong ako without any like judgment or anything. I didn't feel scared to ask me if I was transgender. And then, I was able to say and confirm kung ano nasa isip niya. So, akala ko doon lang titigil ang amazement ko, no, doon sa batang yun. But when I came back with my stuff from 7-Eleven, nabili ko na, paalis na ako, dala ko yung bike. Nung pa-bike out na ako, sabi niya, ate, mag-ingat po kayo. Sana makapag-bike din po ako kahit babae ako.
Ang ganda.
Sabi ko, oo. Kasi feeling siguro niya na hindi, kasi nga sa society natin, ang babae hindi talaga pinagbabike. Kasi for many reasons, parang, naku, sa semplang ka, papangit yung legs mo. Alam mo yun, may mga ganong, or like, naku, ang daming kupal sa daan. Naku, hindi maganda yung ganyan.
Daming bastos, ganyan.
Daming bastos, ganyan, di ba? May ini-instill na fear sa mga babae na mag-bike. So, ang sinagot ko sa kanya, hindi. Bata, makakapag-bike ka. Hindi dahil sa tingin mo parang kahit babae ka. Makakapag-bike ka dahil babae ka mo. Yun lang yan. And that's the only reason you have 2 feet, you have a bike, you can bike. And then doon ko na-realize na I don't even have to do like anything special. I just need to be on the road para makita ng mga tao na may trans na biker sa daan. It makes a difference already. So, yun. So, at least with the things I do right now, like for example, it's Pride Month. So, nag-organize kami ng mga bike Pride rides. Well, may paparating na Pride PH celebration sa 25th. Yun yung isa sa mga malaking celebration ng Pride this month. So sana, dumami pa yung mga taong pupunta dun sa Pride March na nakabike. Bakit hindi, di ba? Na-encourage ko sila kasi nakikita nilang nakabike ako. And also, ang goal ko talaga, sa totoo lang, Les, ma-encourage mas maraming trans women na mag-bike. Kasi sa totoo lang. So, mabibilang ko lang sa isang kamay yung mga trans women na nakilala kong nagbabike. Up to this point, may 3 lang na iba na kilala kong nagbabike na trans women. Ganong level. So, ang konti-konti ng kilala ko. At imposible yon. Alam ko ang mga trans women malalakas, alam ko ang mga trans women kalaban,
kaya nila yan. Yan.
At kaya nila yan. So, di ba, gusto ko silang mahanap, gusto ko silang makita. At kung sino man transgender na gusto mag-bike at sumatuto kasi hindi pa niya alam, simulan na natin ang journey to Budol Mo Girl. Ako na magtuturo sa'yo. Di ba? Parang tuturuan ka na namin paano mag-bike at paano enjoy ang pag-bike sa Maynila. Para dumami tayo.
Maraming salamat, Miss Thais Estrada. You're very inspiring. The things that you do, the way you forward your advocacies, sobrang dami kong natutunan sa episode na to ngayon. And I'm pretty sure na yung listeners din natin, they really learned a lot from what we have discussed ngayong episode na to ng Tambike Session. And maraming salamat, Thais. Anything you'd like to say or promote?
Ayun, maraming salamat, Les, and First Bike Ride. I guess ang gusto ko nang i-promote ay let's speak up for more bike safety in the Philippines, in Manila, in the entire Philippines. Support businesses that support bikers and give bikers facilities na maprotect yung mga bike nila. And siguro the rest, enjoy it. Keep the bike community as inclusive and as fun as it has always been. And I hope that with kakatapos natin ng eleksyon, and kailangan kahit ang nanalo kasi ay isang gobyerno na hindi natin alam kung ano yung plano nila para sa transport, para sa mga bikers. So, panahon ngayon para mga lampag. Panahon ngayon para makita nila na may mga taong gusto tong mangyari para sa Pilipinas. And dagdag natin yung boses sa mas maraming boses na kumakahog para dun sa pagkakataon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Thais Estrada. And thank you din sa mga listeners natin na nag-keep up until this last minute ng ating episode. Sana ma-invite ka ulit namin, Thais, and sana Magkita-kita ulit tayo guys sa susunod na episode ng Tambay Session. Happy Pride Month everyone!